Welcome to this video about the 10 rarest and most collectible Holy Grail muscle cars of all time. Because apparently there are people out there who have enough money to buy a small island, but choose to spend it on old cars instead. So buckle up and get ready to feast your eyes on some of the most coveted automobiles in history. The GSX is Buick's stunning standout masterpiece from the classic era of American muscle. In February 1970, a prototype version was introduced at the Chicago Motor Show to gauge public reaction for a potential production run, with showgoers responding enthusiastically, giving Buick the thumbs up to produce the GSX. The prototype differed from the eventual production model with its exaggerated spoilers, larger hood scoops, pop art multicolored striped interior, and no hood-mounted tachometer that later appeared on production models. Buick's GSX was intended to go up against the Chevrolet Chevelle and the Pontiac GTO that were getting all the glory back then. And what makes this car so rare and desirable? Of the 678 GSXs produced, 400 were Stage 1 optioned, with only 118 of these outfitted with a 4-speed transmission. This GSX unicorn was last sold for $203,500 in 2020 and has probably much appreciated since then, locking down a number 10 position on our list. The legendary Boss 429 was a textbook example of stuffing a large engine into a relatively light car body. And it wasn't because Ford had nothing better to do. They did it to homologate the engine for NASCAR racing purposes, to give its fastback Ford Torino Talladega and Mercury Cyclone twins more power in the NASCAR Grand National Series to compete against the Hemi-powered Dodge Charger Daytona and Plymouth Superbird aero-bodied cars. Only 1,356 Boss 429s were built for the 1969 and 1970 model years at CarCraft, Ford's special vehicle engineering facility in Brighton, Michigan. Besides the low production volume, this particular Boss is most desirable and valuable due to its low original mileage and the presence of the S-Code 429, an early production engine with minimal emission control componentry, magnesium valve covers, and beefed-up connecting rods. The engine was underrated at 375 horsepower, but actually put out over 500 horsepower. This one recently sold for $523,000 and crosses the line at number 9 in our countdown. The Dodge Coronet was probably the least popular of the B-bodied Chryslers back in the 1960s. But that never stopped Dodge from offering it with a Hemi, making an elephant-powered Coronet RT a gentleman's muscle car and a rare beast for sure. What makes this one so rare and collectible is that Dodge only made 107 Hemi-powered Coronets, and only 10 of those were convertibles like this one here. Upping the uniqueness element is the fact that this car is only one of 4 of the convertibles with a 4-speed transmission, and the only one still known to exist. On top of all that is this stunning color combination of bright metallic green with a white interior. As a prime artifact from the golden muscle car year of 1969, this sublimely great number 8 position Coronet sold for $625,000 in 2016 and might someday be offered up for sale again at a slightly increased price. In the 1960s, GM management had decreed that no engines over 400 cubic inches could be installed in mid-sized or smaller vehicles. However, demand from drag racers was intense for Chevrolet to offer their L72 427 in their Camaros and also Chevelles as factory options. Chevy responded surreptitiously by making the engine available through their fleet vehicle ordering process for Chevy dealers, known as the Central Office Production Ordering System, or COPO. Around 1,069 COPO Camaros were produced, 69 with the ZL1 all-aluminum version of the 427, and the remainder with the solid lifter L72 version. Our COPO Camaro here is as rare as a blizzard in Tahiti for having the ZL1 engine and the Muncie M22 4-speed transmission installed in only 12 of the ZL1 cars. Any ZL1 COPO Camaro is a rare icon of late 60s automotive muscle, but this one, taking the number 7 spot on our list, stands out as particularly noteworthy. Its last sale was in 2021 and went for $825,000, and probably a solid investment for whomever the lucky owner is. In 1965, Ford and Shelby America had created a performance home run with Shelby's GT350. For 1966, Shelby got more serious about giving the GT some extra push by offering it with a factory-installed Paxton supercharger that forced compressed air into its engine. This 1966 supercharged GT350 checks all the boxes for rarity and collectability. Firstly, it's an iconic 1966 Shelby GT350, and only one of 1,373 built for that year. Gets even more unicornish after that. This GT350 was only one of 11 factory supercharged examples, and only one of 4 painted in candy apple red. In 2020, this particular car at number 6 in our countdown picks sold for $852,000 and made a rich Shelby enthusiast very happy. There are still believed to be 8 of the 11 supercharged GT350s still out there, so maybe there's a few stuffed away in a barn awaiting your discovery and negotiating skills. Here's one that you could definitely pick out in a crowded parking lot: the 1970 one-year-only Plymouth Superbird. Subtle it was not, especially in the limelight green color with its towering rear wing, but it captures the wild spirit of American performance cars during that time in history. The Superbird only existed due to NASCAR homologation requirements, in that Plymouth had to sell at least 500 copies of this arrowed-up Roadrunner for race eligibility purposes. This limelight green bird announces its presence by searing your retinas and is one of 135 Hemi Superbirds built, and only one of 2 that were painted in this color. Combine that with the fact that it has relatively low mileage for a 53-year-old car, has a 4-speed transmission, and was only produced for 1 year. Driving in at number 5, this NASCAR-bred highly optioned green bird recently sold for $852,500 and proves that rarity and uniqueness are a collector car combination that continues to bring in big dollars whenever these beauties pop up for sale. The GTO Judge is about as exemplary and perfect that a muscle car can get. A powerful engine lineup, stunning styling, colorful paint, wild graphics, and the requisite scoops and spoilers to project that aggressive image and stance. This highly optioned Orbit Orange Judge was a former factory exhibition vehicle and was just the beginning on the list of desirables. Add to that the fact that this beauty had the 400 cubic inch Ram Air engine option with automatic transmission, optional Formula steering wheel, and was an al fresco convertible. Combined together, the options mix made for one rare goat. Only 7 GTOs were ever built in this configuration, and this is one of them. A true victor of the classic era muscle car war, coming in at number 4 on our list, this judiciously named museum-ready GTO emptied someone's wallet to the tune of $1.1 million recently, and as long as it didn't ding their grocery budget too hard, totally put a smile on their face. The Challenger was Dodge's answer to the Mustang, Cougar, Camaro, and Firebird, and debuted as a completely restyled car on Chrysler's E-Body platform. This eye-candy Challenger RT Convertible is another highly optioned ultra-rare muscle car that featured the celebrated Hemi engine. It is only one of 9 Challenger RT Hemis that were built in convertible form, and only one of 4 Hemis with an automatic transmission. Coming in at number 3, we would have to agree that it represents a perfect time capsule, preserving the high watermark for American muscle excellence. This emblematic Hemi Challenger sold for $1.65 million in 2016 and set the bar for what the value of an ultra-rare, ultra-collectible muscle car should be. (1969) was the year that Pontiac said goodbye to its first-generation F-body Firebird pony car, but also said hello to the WS4 Trans Am option. It certainly added some sportiness to the Firebird, and would remain as a Firebird performance option until the third generation ended its run in 1992. Our '69 Trans Am here is one very special bird with an esteemed provenance. It was originally ordered as a company car by a Pontiac engineer, and one of only 8 convertible Trans Ams that were built. Not only that, it's optioned with a 4-speed transmission, and the only convertible ordered in white with a white interior and white roof. As a runner-up at number 2 in eye-pleasing white and blue, the cameo white exterior with Tyrol blue accent coloring and graphics and a parchment white interior is the perfect color combination for this bird. Our Trans Am featured here sold for $1.9 million in 2016 and represents one of the rarest of rare and most collectible muscle cars ever. 1971. The end of an era for Dodge's high-performance beasts. This '71 Cuda got everything right: the convertible option, Hemi engine, 4-speed transmission, and a body-side graphic that screams Hemi in a rare Winchester Gray color. And to cap it all off, this car was an export version spending a good deal of its early life in France. This, a most rare and collectible muscle car home run coming in at number 1, was bid to $4.9 million recently, which could have bought you a small South Pacific island if cars weren't your thing. That's vintage Ferrari territory, and boggles the mind when you think about how it's more than double the amount the number 2 position Trans Am sold for, and it still wasn't enough for the seller. Well, there you have it, folks. 10 muscle cars that are rarer than a teetotaling St. Patrick's Day celebration. If you happen to come across one of these beauties in your lifetime, consider yourself lucky. And if you can actually afford to buy one, get in touch. Let's be friends. Let us know which ones were your favorites, which ones we may have left off our list, and suggestions for upcoming videos. As always, thanks for watching and for your continued support of our channel. Please remember to like and share this video and to subscribe.